Hello, it is Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It is a Wednesday puzzle today, roughly midweek difficulty, maybe a bit more challenge before we hit the wackiness of Thursday. Let's see how it goes, but before that happens, let's revisit some of the clues and answers from yesterday's puzzle. Chase Summers points out, with respect to Occam's razor, a philosophical principle, I suppose, that we encountered in yesterday's puzzle, Occam's razor more correctly states that an answer with fewer presumptions is more likely to be true. The modern interpretation, the simplest solution is often the best, is pretty close, but I feel like it misses the heart of the philosophical shorthand of don't add a bunch of extra baggage to known things. See moon landing conspiracy theorists, flat earthers, etc. Yes, that's a very elegant way of putting it. An answer with fewer presumptions is more likely to be true. And more likely, of course, not stating will always be true. So that's very, very pithy and well stated. Thank you, Jay Summers, for that. I don't know, a slight correction, I suppose. Okay, Bradley says, it's interesting that you noted the constructor of yesterday's crossword is a bass baritone opera singer, but you coincidentally happened to miss reading clue 58 across, many an opera villain, because you filled in the answer bass from crosses. Yes, that is a shame. What a very opera-heavy day yesterday, with the man outside and everything else. And I did miss that entirely. I think there were actually a few clues I missed entirely in yesterday's puzzle because they were obtained through crosses. Okay, Ben Ward says, if 1A had in fact been referring to the British show The Avengers rather than the Marvel team, the answer could not have been Peel, as you suggest, as Emma Peel was introduced in Season 4. It could, however, have been Keel, which after a few listens and a second opinion from the auto-generated closed captions, I'm pretty sure is not what you said. That's correct. I did say Peel less correctly, it seems. David Keel, played by Ian Hendry, who founded the crime-solving team, along with John Steed, played by Patrick McNee. So that's a very good point in response to my sort of throwaway about the Avengers and possibly Peel. And Andrew Wilson chimed in with the same point. And Andrew Wilson also separately left a comment on the relationship between ska and reggae music. Many modern listeners will assume that reggae is the parent and ska the child, but in fact the opposite is true. Ska began in Jamaica in the 1950s by adapting the American rhythm and blues music of the era. Over the next decade, musicians would incorporate calypso and Jamaican folk music to evolve ska into reggae. Yes, very true. Good point. And you've got rocksteady music as well, which comes in somewhere in between, I think. Really great musical heritage and absolutely worth checking out if your main familiarity with ska is the sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, the revisionist American version that popped up in the late 90s maybe, or mid-late 90s. So anyway, let's get on to today's puzzle. This Wednesday puzzle was constructed by Grant Burrows, edited, as always, by Will Shorts. Are we ready to get started? I say we are. Okay. Indian wedding garb. Could be a sari, I would think. Not by check or credit card, say. Could well be in cash with that I there. A campus military organization. This is something specific to the United States. ROTC, which is something Officer Training Corps. It's I actually don't remember what the R stands for. Sorry about that. But it is that's I'm pretty sure that's what the answer is. Book after Joel. Could it be Acts, book of the Bible? Word before dish or effect. Side dish, side effect. And then let's check the crosses to see. It's Showtime to me, no. So the book of the Bible is not Acts. Is it Amos maybe? Let's put inside and see. So it's Showtime for me. It could be I'm on. Much of Roy Lichtenstein's work. Roy Lichtenstein, the first letter is going to be dot, I think, because Lichtenstein did that artwork that I think was sort of very, very, very enlarged comic book panels. And so you get the dot printing that is used in, well, I guess, four-color, newspaper and comic printing. So I wonder actually if this could be .comics. Much of Roy Lichtenstein's work, .comics. Yes, it's sort of a punny way to describe that artwork that ties into the phrase .com, obviously. So I wonder if that is the first inkling of a theme here. To get out is to escape. So indeed, the book of the Bible is Amos, and we are off. Coach's strategy. I don't know. Let's come back to it. Shapiro of NPR. Ari Shapiro rings a bell. I'm going to put that in, and let's keep solving in this area and see if that's true or false. Brief periods of time. Could be secs, and that's as in seconds, an abbreviation of seconds. Just a few secs, you might say. I mean, I wouldn't say that, I don't think, but maybe someone somewhere might. This, I suppose, is the brief is doing double duty because a second is a brief period of time in a literal sense, and the abbreviation sec, which is more common than the plural, I would say, just one sec is something that people might in fact actually say. That is a brief version of the word seconds. So there we go. And then what is this? They can be shaped like tubes or wheels. Could be pastas. Those are two shapes pastas might be. A show of shock could be a gasp. Oh, we didn't look at that clue yet. And a calculus calculation could be area. Indeed, the area of a shape. So coach's strategy, game plan, I suppose this would be. Oh, and here we've got another theme clue. I was going to skip right past this, but let's read it. Wacky shenanigans of a woodworker. Don't know. I mean, I'll have to wait and see what the connecting thread is between these theme answers. So a Milky Way bit would be a star, the Milky Way galaxy. 9/. So, September. So in the American dating system, which puts month before day, as opposed to much of the rest of the world in which the day comes first, this would represent the month of September, I suppose. And like key lime pie, tart, due to that citrus. Here we have an international group founded in 1960 in Baghdad. That would be OPEC, the organization of petroleum exporting countries. Not 100% certain that the O is organization, but I think it seems like it would be, doesn't it? Bird prefix. AVI, I suspect, as in avian. Euclid's Elements, Descartes, La Géométrie, etc. Looks like classics, some form of classics, and these would be math classics. So here we go. Math class turns into math classics. So our theme involves appending ICs. I'm trying to think what that could be. Is that something phonetically? But anyway, it involves appending these letters to the ends of common phrases. So there we go. Well, I suppose they're not necessarily appended to the end. They could be at the end of maybe the first of two words. We don't know yet, but so far they are at the end of the fill. A high flyer could be an aviator. There's a bit of overlap with AV for bird. I assume those have the same root. Dweller west of the North Atlantic. An American? I mean, the North Atlantic is off the east coast of the United States, so maybe. Got the gold would be 1, but I want to look at these crosses to check that down. A trophy, e.g., is an award. Blank City, a nickname for Detroit. Motor City, where cars, I suppose, still are manufactured, but not in as great numbers as they once were. Hip-hop's Public Blank, Public Enemy. All right, so I guess that was American. Black hole for socks, facetiously a dryer, where socks disappear, some say. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, speaker would be Romeo. And this is only blank. This is only a test. And then here we have a cross. Observe. Oh, no. I spelled Romeo incorrectly. I'm sorry. Ramu. The much lesser known tale of Ramu and Juliet. Okay. Blank just so happens. As it so happens. As it so happens, I don't yet know how to fill this very long theme answer. Wacky Shenanigans of a Woodworker. I mean, probably ends in ICS, right? So antics. Antics are wacky shenanigans. Carpenter ant, maybe? That's what that's getting. Carpenter antics? There we go. There we go. Carpenter antics. Very clever. Wacky shenanigans of a woodworker. All right. Raincoats to Brits could be Macs, Macintoshes. Blank page NFL Hall of Famer turned justice on Minnesota Supreme Court. Interesting. No clue, though. Alan Page, maybe it looks like Adam or Alan. Skater Lipinski Tara, I would think, based on this fill, and that does actually kind of ring a bell. Let's put it in and see. A major mix-up could be a snafu, and this is actually a somewhat clever answer because major sort of alludes to a military rank, and snafu is military slang for situation normal, all fouled up, or something stronger than fouled. So I'm going to have to fill this in. What's this cross here? In the fashion of would be à la French. So we have Alan Page, NFL Hall of Famer turned justice on the Minnesota Supreme Court. Very interesting. Sound of dismissiveness with this fill could be pft, pft, and dismissive non-vocal noise. Or, sorry, non-verbal. Indeed, it is vocal. A dweller east of the North Atlantic would be a European. So there's a fun counterpart to American. And North Atlantic, obviously used in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, to which American and European states belong. Well, some of them anyway. All the blank, all the rage. Oops. Wisconsin City, that's home to Lawrence University, not sure. Knock on the door could be a rap on the door. Yes. I think that Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Raven. Doesn't that have rap at my door or something like that? Okay, display at the Getty would be art. The Getty is an art museum, so a display there would be art. And like the tone of a talking to could be stern. Frights upon waking up from sunbathing naps. I'm going to go ahead and assume we can put the ICS in here. Oh, this is interesting. We've got two ICSs occupying the same positions, 2 rows apart. Anyway, what was this? Frights upon waking up from sunbathing naps. Frying panics. There we go. Very good, very good. Frying panics. You might have one of those after waking up on the beach. 1003 in Roman numerals would be M-I-I-I because M represents 1,000 and each I represents 1. Thunderstruck rock band, AC/DC. So we're filling these parallel ICSs with some sort of acronyms and unusual collections of letters that wouldn't ordinarily fit in words. Sounds of disapproval. Oh, we've got another one of those. Tisks, tisk, tisk. Counterpart to our puffed here, the sound of dismissiveness. So we have dismissiveness and disapproval represented in the puzzle today. Okay, Fitzgerald of Jazz could be Ella, well, almost certainly is Ella Fitzgerald. SpongeBob SquarePants E.G. is a cartoon. You might put your stamp on it. You might put your stamp on it, and I don't know, insignia is obviously too long. Oops. Sorry, that's my email. You don't need to see that. All right. You might put your stamp on it. I don't know. Here we have blank who, you who. Computer networking company. Cisco, I suppose. One of those large companies that seems to be absolutely enormous and I'm never entirely sure what exactly they do. I guess they make routers, but I think they do bigger businessy things that I'm less familiar with. Okay, blank the other reindeer, all of the other reindeer from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas song. To respond to a stimulus is to react. In many cases is often a low digit 1. Why does that have a question mark? Probably must not be 1. Oh, but toe maybe. A digit meaning a finger or toe that is low to the ground, a toe. So what is this? Chalkboard material? Yes, that works with slate. And then here we have tiramisu top air, which would be cocoa. So that also works with toe. So we're all set over there. Here we have annoyingly slow. Pokey, I suppose. And long ago, Days of yore, days of long ago. That's slightly tough because long ago sounds like an adjective, whereas here we're using it as a noun, which is less common, obviously. You might put your stamp on it. Ink pad. I see. So you'd put a stamp into an ink pad in order to then stamp the stamp on paper or whatever. Chairs superior. So this could be in a university setting. Chair superior could be a dean, chair of a department, for instance. Here we have sports organization with the Ryder Cup. Here we have things that Dad likes to discuss. Another theme answer, I suspect. So probably ICS. This is probably pop. Things that Dad like. Pop topics. Pop topics. Topics for pop. And building on the phrase pop top. Okay, here we have more things I keep skipping. And another thing also. Snoozed could be napped. Many an eponymous source on Capitol Hill. So Capitol Hill is the metonym that's used for the United States legislature, and so often you will have aides to congresspeople or senators making anonymous tips to reporters. So that would be an aide, I think. A CBS police procedural. Well, it's not CSI, which would be fun because of the CSI being rearranged, because it's not enough letters. So let's keep looking. Italian wine region. Asti? What to say? Is that right? Let's get it with the crosses. Member of the South Asian diaspora would be DESI. DESI. That's what that term is. Here we have Madrid's land to locals. I would be España. And then here we have deal with issues at work. Deal with issues at work. So an issue of a magazine or a newspaper, you might be an editor. So you might edit those issues. And then the CBS police procedurals, NCIS, which is familiar now that I see it written in. And what do we have here? Ship built with the help of Athena. That would be the Argo of Jason and the Argonauts who sailed the Argo. And then in the cross, that's going to give us a sports organization with the Ryder Cup PGA. So that's a golf thing, the Professional Golf Association, I guess. And here we have Wisconsin City, that's home to Lawrence University, will be Appleton, which is not a city with which I'm familiar, but it sounds like a real place. So let's fill that in. There we go. That would be, I would say, at least for me so far, the smoothest solve of the week, actually. I would say that was a smoother solve in my case than Monday or Tuesday. And some very fun little bits of wordplay here. Much of Roy Lichtenstein's work, Dot Comics, Euclid's Elements, Descartes' La Géométrie, etc., math classics. The wacky shenanigans of a woodworker are carpenter antics. Frights upon waking up from sunbathing naps are frying panics. That's very clever. And things that Dad likes to discuss, pop topics. Pretty good. I think carpenter antics is outstanding. That is extremely clever. Frying panic's pretty good. The other one's not quite as inspired, but all very clever and solid and keeping with the theme. So what is this IC? Does the ICS mean anything, or is it just a little bit of linguistic wordplay? I'm not really sure. It doesn't need to mean anything. It's not a title to puzzle, certainly. But I'm just wondering if I've missed something, and I may well have. But I'm sure someone in the comments will tell me if that is the case, so please do. But in the meantime, we've got some very clever little word plays using this rule that has been established, and I thought several of them were quite good. I hope you did as well. And I hope you've been enjoying this series. I'm wrapping this video up a little more quickly because I finally ending this somewhat. My travel over the past week is finally coming to an end. I'll be in a more stable situation for the next at least couple weeks. So that is good. And hopefully we'll be able to launch the impending Kickstarter. Maybe I'll aim for Friday for that. How about that? I'll have some time that day, so that makes sense. And I hope, like I said, I hope you've been enjoying this series. If you have been, please do subscribe, and please consider telling a friend about it, because they might like it. They might enjoy uncovering these clever bits of wordplay, like carpenter antics and frying panics. And If not an individual person, why not spread the word on Facebook or Twitter or a forum or wherever it is you reside online where you think there might be some people who could enjoy this sort of thing. Give it a shot. I would appreciate it, certainly. And I appreciate you watching this in general, so thank you so much for watching these videos, for getting to the end of this particular one, and I hope it bridges into a very pleasant remainder of your Wednesday. And do come back tomorrow when we'll be solving the Thursday puzzle, the first really tricky puzzle of the week, as I always say. I hope you join me for that. Until then, take care.